And now we turn to Washington State. And oh, look, it's Dr. Jen Zard.
Oh, hey. Hi, you just caught me reading this fascinating article called Every Planet Has Its Own Zodiac. It's in one of the journals at Kaylee here, by
Wow.
Ronald C. Davison. Do you know Ronald C.
Yeah,
Davison?
composite. Yeah, I have some of his books. With the composite, he was a composite guy, maybe?
He did the Davison relationship chart of the midpoint between time and space. But here he's talking about every planet has its own zodiac. And he goes, the zodiac is a circle, or more correctly, a cycle of relationship. Because of the often vociferous argument that goes among some astrologers about the relative merits and demerits of the sidereal and tropical zodiacs, we sometimes tend to overlook the fact that a zodiacal cycle of relationship can be established by using any significant factor as the starting point of such a circle of reference.
Interesting.
That's making me dizzy. That's like Valen saying you can perfect from any chart factor. Like,
Right.
I don't know that much perfection.
That's like when you get into symbolic relationships where you're like a day for a year or derived houses where it's like it does get a little heady after a while.
Totally, totally. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Like, and it's like these ideas, I feel like we have them now,
Mhm.
like when we're hanging out at Time Climb or using anything like the Cafe Clutch at Esar, we're like talking this way.
Hmm.
Which zodiac to use? I mean, even just last week we had that conversation, right?
Yeah, for sure. For
Like,
sure.
where do we start measuring the zodiac? Well, Davison's like, anywhere, just measure it.
I think we think in a very linear, boxed way sometimes, but the cosmos, the Earth is a sphere, and there is no starting, whatever we can say in geodetic, you started, zero Aries is at Greenwich, but it's like
Yeah,
could be Jakarta.
right.
So, you can roll your own, but you lose a little bit of the certainty and the being right about something.
Right, right. Okay, so he's got some rules just to leave you with some nuggets here, okay?
Yeah.
He says, in summary, we can enumerate the following propositions that each planet, as well as the nodes, ascendant, and midheaven, can be regarded as the starting point of a zodiac.
Mm,
I'm going to start the Vesta zodiac
not a bad idea.
just for fun. Okay, when tropical planetary longitudes are transposed to a planetary zodiac, their adjusted longitude bears a sympathetic relationship to the same degree of longitude in the tropical zodiac. I'm going to have to work with that one. I'm gonna have to work with that one.
It reminds
Yeah,
me
these are complicated rules. He's getting really technical in here, but also hypothetical technical. That's like my favorite place to be. Wow. He says now you have to compare tropical and planetary zodiac positions because that'll like truly show you the nature of the chart.
wow.
Wow.
It reminds me a
Wow.
little bit
Wow.
about
Wow.
music when musicians transpose songs, right? So they'll go from one key to another key, and like what's important are the relative intervals between the things.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you are rigorous about keeping the intervals together, well, yeah, why not? You can experiment. And we have draconic, right? Draconic.
Right. Yeah, he brings that up in here. One thing I love too is like the idea of in terms of seeing things through different lenses. He's like, oh, you just got a whole set of like infinite new lenses to try on. Like, you got used to these lenses, that's cool. But what about these? What
Yeah.
else can you see? What else? What other details can you pull in for exactitude? All right, what you got for me?
All right, I've got something interesting to share. So can you see the
Oh,
screen?
yeah.
Okay, so this is coming again from my little collection of patent drawings, except
I
this.
would have never thought to look at those things. This is gorgeous.
Thank you. Well, so look at this. So this is again, I think maybe from the 20s or 30s. So Jen, what are some of the things you see? This is probably for a fortune telling machine. It seems to have been called the psychic
Um,
messenger.
you can't miss the yes next to the letter ZR. That's what I get. I'm looking at that going, yes, ZR. Wait, oh, different.
Zodiacal releasing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, they're mixing up the alphabet, and then they have the word fini instead of end. It's always in Latin or French. What's that about? They can't just say good. Well, I guess we do have some Ouija boards that say goodbye.
I don't know. Also,
Is
I don't
this
know.
declination circles?
I,
What are
I
these lines?
I'm not sure here. It seems to be sort of, I mean, there's a lot going on. Like just starting from the outer circle, we've got this order of letters, which I haven't figured out. ASBTCUDVE1F2G3H.
It's every other letter. A, B, C, D, E, F, and then then the numbers
Oh, I see. They're
begin.
interlocked.
Yeah,
You can, if you look
yeah.
closer, you can see that Taurus has become Tarsus.
Oh, cute.
And what about we've got gemstone things, which is
Right. We'd have to cross-check that with anything carbuncle. I would not put with Sagittarius.
mhm,
Sorry, there. Carbuncle's definitely Aries, but an amethyst, I don't think so, honey. That's more Sag. They got them mixed up. That was transposed.
mhm. And so
Amethyst, very Sag.
the interesting thing about the birthstone is that that's one of the few things from sort of, I don't know, Renaissance, medieval magic,
Yeah.
that actually made it into the modern world in a greatly debased way.
Mm.
So that's an important point. But like, how cool would it be to have one of these machines at Kaylee?
I would love it. You'd be like, right, like in the break room, you could just like hang out with the psychic messenger and do the, you know what? It looks like these dials could be something like on the Roland synthesizer,
Ooh.
the TB-303, like, you know?
Well, that's I would love to have a sort of synthesizer of symbolic systems, or with
Oh, yeah.
astrology, or with you could even have something with tarot, or even say with words like randomization and stuff. Like we could easily
Yeah,
use the technology as a divination device.
love that.
So
Yeah, that's
what I like
really
about this
cool.
is you can see the rigor of the modern capitalist system and your intellectual property. You have to like have these professional engineering drawings, and they're talking about the most symbolic, mystical, esoteric thing at the same time. So what a range.
But you know what's cool is these diagram numbers, in order to explain the parts of the machine, become their own oracle.
Yes.
And I love that, like the random nine floating out there and a miniature lowercase a next to a 12 with an arrow. It's like, what is that?
Yeah,
You
it's
know?
sort of like a modern day Antikythera device, you know?
Right, right. They're adding new constellations into the ones that were sort of, taught in the tradition. And also the cusping here, that they show you 21 to whatever is Aries, right? They're like
Mhm.
not just doing like the last one we saw, you had it and they were just like, oh, December is this. And this one is showing you a little more nuance in terms of the actual position of the sun in that sign of the zodiac.
Yeah, it's showing you that there's an orb there, say, or there's a range, that when
Yeah,
it's gonna move. But also,
right.
why is it so diurnally focused, right? Why is it only showing above the horizon?
Well, the answer to that we can't say on air.
This is a kid show. This is a family show.
Destroy the night. Yeah, yeah. No, that's a good point too. It's sort of like, does it have to be? Why isn't it a full circle? It's a half. It's a half circle. That
Yeah, and
that's
if
an
I went,
interesting design choice. But maybe that's also the idea of a lever, like this kind of ticker that can go all the way to one side or the other. But if it was a full-on clock, it would have a different vibe.
hmm, I think it also just mirrors, if you think about, early 20th century American culture, it's so heavily male, diurnal, rational, and
Yeah.
it threw everything else in the garbage can, basically.
Well, there's a fini, but there's no beginning. Like, how does the beginning start? You just start,
Ooh,
and then
there's
it
an end but
ends.
no beginning.
Yeah. So
Very.
compelling, and like ways to unpack it, but also just poetically, right? Like it doesn't need to be this rational sort of,
Mhm.
rigor mortis academic unpacking. It's more of and the fact that it's black with white, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, this is a,
That's
this is
really
a
cool.
t-shirt off the bat or a poster.
Yeah, but still, it's great. Very cool. Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you. All
Yeah, my
right. Well, I'm
pleasure.
going to get back to work. Thanks for the call.
All right, then.
I'll
Thanks
see you
again. See
again
ya.
soon. Okay.
Bye.